Good morning. Today is Sunday, August 31st, 2025, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast. Looking at where Bitcoin went in the last week and where it could potentially go in the future. So this has been a pretty solid down week for Bitcoin overall. We see that we've pretty much retraced to the open of July. So all the gains from July have essentially been erased at this point, and we are on the last day of August. So we're going to close somewhere around here, somewhere around 108. But I did say 108 was kind of your magic number for Bitcoin because there's a lot of support around that area. I set a band somewhere between 114 and 108. So somewhere between here and here. So it did come down to 108 and pause. Whether that trend will continue, I do not know. But what I have seen is that, hey, we pretty much, there's no real imbalance here to clean up besides maybe somewhere down to 96. So I will say it's not impossible, but I would call it improbable at this point. Just because, again, I do see so much going on behind the scenes, and especially going into a potential rate cut in September within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I just don't see where we'll go too much lower. But again, that is contingent on a rate cut happening. Once that does happen, I think you will see a major uplift in all asset classes, not just Bitcoin and crypto, but something to look forward to. But anyway, we will close the month negative for May. It looks like we'll close somewhere between about -6%. So again, not crazy. July was +8%. This was -6%. So we'll see how that goes. But right now at this point, we have kind of hit this somewhat of a support area. We see that, price came up to here once, twice, and then it dropped down. And it came up here again, couldn't quite get past it. Here again, so now we've gone from support to, from resistance to now support when we come back down. So this is really just a retest, if I'm being honest with you. And then I would think, continue on to the upside. So always knew that it was possible that we could come back down to this 108 area. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but to see that we have come back down there, that's not outside of the realm of possibility. Okay, on the weekly chart, we can see it a little bit more clear now, a little bit more granularity. We see that price came above this area up to 123, made a new all-time high, came back down again to retest this area right here. As I said, we bounced off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or like 10. There were 10 separate weeks in this period where we could, where this area was heavily contested. So I see this as a retest, as a strong retest. So we finally actually broke out of this area in late June going into July. Couldn't really hold above that area for too long. Well, actually we did for a couple weeks going into August, and then it came back down to retest. So what I'm thinking is that we'll see this could be the start to that move up to your 150 area and above. So if we start going back down below 100,000, well, then that may be your next stopping point would be somewhere around 92. But then at that point, you'd be running into the weekly 50 moving average, and I just don't see us getting too far below that. So we got to look at it objectively for where it's at. So right now we're at 108. Your next potential stopping point, if we keep going lower, would be 100,000, which again is going to be a huge wall of support just because that is such a strong psychological number. And then beyond that, I would see it being somewhere around 95, 96, somewhere in the mid 90s, I would say. So those are your 3 key points. So you have 108 where it's at right now, which I think it'll turn around from 100, which is your strong psychological level. And then your weekly moving average sitting at 190. Well, I'm sorry, sitting at about 95,000. So your next 3 stopping points. But again, I think we'll see some upside there. All right, so put the drawings on, and another reason that I'm seeing that we'll have support here is that you have so much in this area. So you have this short-term holder realized price that lines up with this support area. So you could put another band here, but it would just be doubling up. So you have the short-term holder realized price that is at 10, and I changed it today, so it's at 109. And then you have your support area from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different weeks. And then this week will close here too. So, that's going to be a 10th week. So you have short-term holder realized price. You have a support zone. You have the escape velocity line that I keep talking about. And you also have the bottom of this bull flag here. the bottom of this bull flag that has been in place. So, I mean, I extended it out a little bit from top to bottom. And then again, I'm just seeing that we'll probably end up moving back to the upside. So this downward move was not outside of the realm of possibility at all. It's just the prequel to us being able to move up to the upside and get to these 134 areas and beyond. So once we start moving, especially if we get these rate cuts that are expected to happen in September and October, the probably 1 or 2 rate cuts before definitely 1, but potentially 2 or 3 rate cuts before the end of the year, you could really see some uplift to the markets overall. So again, we got to talk about objectively what we're looking at. So again, that's your weekly charts. Daily chart. What do we see? So overall, we had this area to where it bounced off of it and then it just came back down one more time. A little bit of support here at the bottom, your short-term hold and realized price, like I said. You also have your 200-day moving average that's hovering around 103. So, I mean, for something to break, it has broken below the 50 and the 100, but to see it break below the 200, that would be a feat for sure. And then, by next week, it'll be somewhere up here. So at about 105. So I talked about your couple different levels here at 108 right now. 100, which would be a next major stopping point if it gets below 105, which I think that'll be a pretty strong move. If it gets below 105, you'll definitely hit 100, and then the worst case scenario, it starts to get back down to 95. But I just don't see it, especially with all of this that's happened here. You had a lot of consolidation in this area, so there's a lot of price support right here at about 105. If we draw we draw some type of imaginary line between here, you're sitting at about 105, and to where price could get below, could get above, could get below, could get above. So you have a lot of buying action in this area. That would help to support price there. So I think we've probably seen the worst of this downturn. And now we'll probably see this beginning to an upwards move and, just continue on from that area. So good things on the horizon. I think we'll have some overall solid price action moving on from there. So is there really much else to talk about on the daily chart? I don't think so. 4-hour chart, let's just look at that. We are in a full-blown downtrend on the 4-hour chart. So you have these crosses here back on the 19th from the 50, and then it crossed the 200, and then it crossed the 50 crossed the 100 and the 200, and then the 100 crossed the 200 as well. So all of them were moving in the same direction as of the 24th. So really the last week has just been an absolute downtrend. So you could even draw a parallel channel here, and it would look pretty good. It would look pretty good. So yeah, I mean, that's been a well-contained area, just bouncing up and down, left and right, so on and so forth. And even here, there are trends within trends, and you can keep on drawing. But, we see those bounces there. And if I do not want to extend that, you see those bounces there. We could even go down to the 15-minute chart, and it just keeps on going like that. A big downwards move in that direction, but I think that's pretty much it. So you even see here at this point, we've bounced off the bottom of this channel once again to where you're just seeing so much confluence here in this area that I just don't see that we move too much below it. So what else? Forex Factory. What is going on in the economic news at this point? So Monday is Labor Day, so the markets will be closed tomorrow. Crypto obviously goes 24/7, 365. So those markets will still be going, but your major markets and again, your major movers are going to be your big banks and institutions now. They do move on the economic calendar, so I wouldn't expect to see much price movement today or tomorrow on Bitcoin. What this week is a very labor heavy week. So you have JOLTS job openings, you have the unemployment, you have ADP, non-farm employment change. So that first week of the month is usually very labor heavy. And then coming on Friday, the first Friday of the month, you have your non-farm employment change, which, I mean, last month, the numbers were pretty abysmal. So we'll see how July ends up shaping out and average hourly earnings, all that good stuff. So these will end up coming out within the next week or so. So just definitely something to watch there. And all of these are pretty early morning releases too. So Coming into where we have the ETF. So I've been looking at the ETFs and like their different flows at this point. So you can see when people are buying and when they're selling. So the biggest week of buying was July 24th, and then 2024, and then shortly after the biggest week of selling. But you can see kind of a pattern, right? So there are trends. So this is obviously a huge selling period. I'm sorry, a huge buying period. Coming into 2025, after the inauguration and everything, you had a huge period of selling, not too much buying from institutions. And then coming out of tariffs, tariffs happened somewhere around here, a whole bunch of buying, and then that we see that has now cooled off. That buying period is now cooled off. We could go into a period of selling. I don't see that at this point. Again, you have to follow the trend. You can't, just see what the actual data is telling you. But we have come down to a slowdown of both buying and selling. We can see that within the last week we have done quite a bit of buying at this point. I'm sorry, selling, and I am about to run out of battery, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. I think I actually might chop it here. But anyway, yeah, the overall story here at this point is that we've seen quite a bit of selling overall. And then also the CFTC, that's a big thing. The CFTC is they're looking at opening up exchanges overseas, opening U.S. markets to overseas exchanges. So OKX, Bybit, Binance, all these big ones. They give you the opportunity to kind of get in on different areas. So yeah, I'll kind of chop it here because I am about to run out of battery and I don't have my charger. So we're at 11 minutes, so I think that is good enough. Yeah, this is, overall, we're still in good territory. Crypto's not going down anytime soon, but anyway, this has been Christos Crypto. Check out your crypto resources on christoscrypto.com, and I will see y'all on the moon. Take care. Bye-bye.